Anyone who has a
No,
question from exercise 1.3? All right. I'll be sharing the assignment for
Yes,
this
ma'am.
chapter.
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Ma'am, that converting non-terminating decimals in fractions. That.
Okay. So I'll just take an example from the book, if you say, because I think we were doing the second part. If you want, I can continue that.
Anything would be fine. I just want to know the procedure, how it's done.
Okay. Were you not present last time in the class, or you just want to repeat this?
Ma'am, I want to repeat this. I was present.
Okay. So we have exercise 1.3. I'm just taking exercise questions. This is question number 3, second part. This is the one I had actually started the other day. So this is what was given to us. We have 0.47 and the bar is on 7. So that means the part of this decimal number which is repeating is 7. So this is what I have. So first thing I want to do is I want to just represent my decimal number as a variable just for convenience. So x equals to 0.47, where 7 is repeating. So and these dashes means this is non-terminating. So the first step I want to do is after this, after I have represented my decimal number as x, you can take any variable if you want. So after I've done this, what I want to do is I want to write down a multiple of this number, and the multiple will be written keeping in mind how many digits are repeating. So if you look at the bar, so bar is over 1 digit. So if the bar is over 1 digit, I'm going to multiply my value with 10. So I'm going to multiply both sides with 10. On left hand side, I will have 10x. So this is x multiplied with 10. Whereas if I have to multiply this decimal number on the right side, so you can just write this way into 10. So multiplying with 10 will move the point to the right side by 1 place. So this is what you will have after this. And let's represent this result as second. So this was what's given to me, and this is the step that I have obtained. I've got two things now. I'm going to use these two results to find my answer. What I want to do is I want to subtract these two. So I'm just going to subtract the larger equation, which contains larger values. From it, I want to subtract the one with smaller values. So you can do it directly from here, or you can just write down the second equation. This is equation number 2. You can write this on top, and then equation number 1, which you want to subtract, will be written below this. So I want to subtract this equation over here. So I've got x on the left hand side, 0.477 repeating on the right hand side, and then I'm going to subtract. And when I subtract, the left hand sides are subtracted with each other and right hand sides are subtracted from each other. So just subtract. On left hand side, 10x minus x will be 9x. On right hand side, this portion gets eliminated from here after here, because you have sevens repeating. So itna portion aapka 0 0 0 0 ho jayega. You will be left with just this part, which is 4.3. So x equals to 4.3.9, which can be written as 43 by 90, removing the point and putting 10 in the denominator. So now you can see x was a decimal number. This was decimal form, which was non-terminating and repeating. This is non-terminating, non-ending, and this shows it's a repeating. And now I have expressed this as a rational number in the form p by q.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Anybody else with any question?
no, ma'am.
All right. What I've done, I've actually shared a PDF with you today. It's actually related to what we're going to do next. So you've got exercise 1.4. This is not in your syllabus as such. You can just delete this. So you can write down this is not in your syllabus anymore. And we are going to start with this now, operations on real numbers. So operations on real numbers would mean we are going to work on rational and irrational numbers both. But as such, if I just consider what you've done till 8, you've already learned how to work with rational numbers. So they have mentioned this, that in earlier classes you worked with rational numbers, you have performed arithmetic operations on them. Before arithmetic operations, you've learned how to add, subtract, multiply and divide rational numbers. You learned that in 7 में आपने बिल्कुल बेसिक ऑपरेशंस किए थे इनके. Whereas in 8th standard you learn about their properties. It's the first chapter that you had. And what you come to know is that if we consider closure property, so these the rational numbers, they are closed. They are closed with respect to addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. But in case of division, we exclude division by 0. So there is only one number by which division is not possible. So if we exclude this, you will see that if you are going to add two rational numbers, the answer will be a rational number. If you subtract two rational numbers, answer will be a rational number. Multiplication of two rationals gives you a rational number. Division of two rational numbers gives you a rational number. Other than that, if we look at the properties that you discussed, commutative, associative, and distributive. So commutative property and associative property of rational numbers, it holds under addition and multiplication. In subtraction and division, it's not true. You cannot change the order in those two operations. You cannot group in any way if you are dealing with subtraction and division. Whereas you can change the order when you want to add two rational numbers or multiply two rational numbers. And you can group them in any way. If you have more than two rational numbers to be added or multiplied, you can start with any two and then bring in the remaining ones one by one. And distributive property means multiplication of rational numbers can be distributed over addition and subtraction. After that, right now we are aware of irrational numbers too. अब हमें पता है कि there are not just rational numbers in this world, there are some numbers which cannot be put in the form p by q. So those numbers which are called irrational numbers, they have certain properties of their own. Now, right now, I'll just give you an overview, but you are going to realize it while you work with them. So when we will be doing questions in the exercise, there are certain questions in the assignment. So when we do those questions, you will realize what I'm talking about. So I'm not just going to take examples to discuss all these. They have just written that irrational numbers, they satisfy these properties under addition and multiplication. So if you are performing addition and multiplication of two irrational numbers, you can change the order. Commutative means you can change the order. Associative means you can group them in any way if you have more than two irrationals to be added or multiplied. And then distribution of multiplication of irrationals can be done over subtraction and addition of irrationals. So this is what we have speaking about just operating on irrationals alone. You have operated on rationals alone till 8th standard. If we just consider the arithmetic operations on irrational numbers, this is what we have. And further, they have written that if you consider the sum, difference, quotient and products of irrationals, they are not always irrational. So what does this mean? कि अगर हम दो irrationals को plus कर रहे हैं या minus कर रहे हैं, or we are multiplying two irrational numbers, or we are trying to divide two irrational numbers. Quotient here means division, product means multiplication. So if we are trying to perform arithmetic operations on irrationals, then the answer may or may not be irrational. This means irrational numbers are not closed under the four arithmetic operations. So this is what we have, and this is what I've actually written in the PDF that I've sent you. You can just note that down in your notebooks. So properties of rational numbers, which you've just done last year, and properties of irrational numbers, which we will be actually observing while we deal with irrational numbers. Now, what happens when we combine the two? अगर हम rationals और irrationals को combine कर दें, तो we get the set of real numbers. अब अगर हम real numbers पे work कर रहे हैं, तो हमारे पास ये results हैं. If you try to add or subtract a rational and irrational number, the answer will be irrational. If you try to multiply or divide a non-zero rational number with an irrational number, the answer will be irrational. Whereas this last property here states that the irrational numbers are not closed under the four operations that we have, because the answer could be a rational or irrational number. And there are examples they have given here. If you just observe these examples, These are operations on irrationals. This is sum of, this is an irrational number, this is an irrational number. They are performing sum of these two irrational numbers. The answer will be 0. And over here, answer is 0. Now 0 is a rational number. Then root 3 into root 3. This will be root 3 squared, which is 3 itself, again a rational
3.
number. Then root 17 by root 17 will be 1. Whereas, yes,
1.
there is another example. If you consider example number 12, example number 12 actually shows you how it happens when we are dealing with rationals and irrationals together. So over here, if you just look at the first part, 7 into under root 5, this over here is a rational number, this is irrational. And this is multiplication of 2. So its answer will be an irrational number because 5 has a decimal expansion which is non-terminating, non-repeating. This expansion is irrational. And when you multiply this with 7, the decimal expansion that you will get, it will also be non-ending and non-repeating. And when you get this type of decimal expansion, the answer is an irrational number. And you can work with this also. This is division here, addition of irrational with a rational number. And finally, they have given you subtraction of irrational and a rational number. In all of these cases, the answer will be irrational. So you can consider this example, but the first exercise of the question is actually about the same thing. And after this, there is something we would like to discuss. We have surds. Now, this is a word which is used common. Surds are the values which are under root sign. It could be square root, it could be cube root, or if you have taken a look at this table here, this here is cube root, fifth root. They have written it in a different way, but if I had to write this, I would have written like this. I would have put 3 here and this would be cube root of 11. And this here is cube root of 27. And then the last one is the fifth root of 3. And what we are trying to look here is कि अगर हमारे पास under the root कोई value है, if there is any value which is under the root, it could be square root, it could be cube root, it could be any root. If you are able to simplify that, if you are able to simplify and obtain a rational answer, then we say that it is not a surd. Otherwise, if it stays under the root, it will be a surd. I'm going to take an example here. If you remember, we were dealing with Heron's formula. If you had under the root, let's say 32. So you were told to prime factorize 32 because we want to find out the square root. We are going to use prime factorization, although we know that 32 का square root exists नहीं करता because 32 is not a perfect square. Still, to simplify it, not to obtain the root, but to simplify it, what you can do is you can go over and write down the prime factorization for this number. And after you've written the prime factorization, the next step is to pair up. And you were told the pairs which are complete, they are out of the root, and this which does not have a pair will stay inside the root. So as such, this has been simplified, but still there is a value which is under the root. It has not completely been removed. The root signs is still there. So that means this value here is a surd, but we like to keep it in the simplified form. So, and they have taken examples, they have taken a few examples. अगर आपके पास अलग-अलग तरह के रूट्स के अंदर नंबर्स हों और हम उनको सिंप्लीफाई करना चाहें, अगर आपका आंसर सिंप्लीफाइड आंसर आता है, means you obtain a rational number, then complete simplification, then you get, sorry, if you get an exact answer, not an approximation or a decimal number, then it's a surd. And otherwise, if it stays unsimplified, it will not be a surd. And after this, in your book, they have used this word here, radical sign. अगर आपके पास कोई real number है, it is a positive real number, and n is a positive integer because we are going to raise an exponent. N will be the exponent or a number which is used in the exponent. So if you have nth root, this is the nth root. This actually means if you have, let's take in the form of variable, if you have x squared equals to y, If you have x square equals to y, this can be written as x equals to root y. This is second root, which you are also aware as square root. If you have x cube equals to y, this can be written as this. This is the third root, also called cube root. And then if you have x raised to the power 4 is equal to y, then this transposed to the other side will be written as fourth root. So every time we use this root sign, जब भी हम ये root sign use करेंगे, it could be square root, cube root, fourth root, fifth root, so on. These are called radical signs. And radical signs tell you that you may be dealing with the surd here. It's possible that you may be dealing with a surd in your question. If your answer gets simplified and you obtain a whole number, that would mean it is not a surd. But if any of the part of the number stays under the root sign, then your number will be a surd. I hope I'm making myself clear. If anyone has a question till here.
No, ma'am.
All right. So right now we are just going to proceed with the exercise. I would like you to go over these again so that it's clear to you before we discuss more of this. So page number 24, exercise 1.5. Question number 1, classify the following numbers as rational or irrational. So what you want to do is you want to simplify and then you want to give your answer. So if I had to just start, you can give the answer directly also if the question doesn't require any simplification. But if there is any simplification required, you will first simplify and then provide with an answer. So if I'll just do this with you right here, if I had to give my answer. So if I look at this, this is a rational number, this is a rational number. I will not be using R for a rational, rationals are represented by Q. So this is a rational number, this is irrational number, and their difference of rational and irrational is always irrational. And I have actually taken an example. Agar aap subtraction karna chaho, 2 can be written as this 2.000, and then you can use the value of root 5, which will be approximately 2.23, so on, so on, so on. And iski subtraction ke baad aapke paas jo answer aayega, it will be a decimal number, which will be non-terminating, non-repeating, which tells us that the value here is irrational. जो भी आपको यहाँ पे value दी हुई है, 2 minus root 5, it will provide you with an irrational answer. Anyone? It will be like I will prefer if you just ask anything because this exercise is very important. This one and the next one. So the one we did previously, where you convert your decimal numbers into P by Q form, that question, then these one where we deal with surds, we are performing operations on them, and the next one which contains laws of exponents on containing rational exponents. So these are all very important topics. So if at any point you feel that there is a doubt, just ask me. All right. Then this is the expression which can be simplified further. I would like you to open the brackets. So this can be written as 3 plus under root 23 minus under root 23. So these are same values appearing with plus and minus sign. The way you used to deal with integers, these get cancelled. These get cancelled. So you're left with just 3. And what kind of answer this is? This is a rational answer.
Rational number.
Right? And if we look at this question, third part, 2 root 7 over 7 root 7. So we can write this as 2 multiplied with root 7, the numerator. The denominator can be written as 7 multiplied with root 7. So what will happen here? We again have same value appearing in the numerator and the same value appearing in the denominator. The same factor is present in the numerator and in the denominator. That factor gets cancelled. Although the factor that was cancelled is irrational, still, जैसे आप rational numbers cancel करते हो, वैसे बिल्कुल same way में you can cancel root 7 with root 7. So you are left with this. What can you say about your answer?
Rational.
Again, you have a
Rational.
rational B. Now look at fourth part. This over here is rational. Yes. In the denominator, you have irrational number. And the quotient, the division of rational and irrational number gives you a value which is irrational. Yeah, this will be irrational. What do you think about the last part?
Irrational.
Irrational. It's a rational number multiplied with an irrational number. The answer will be irrational. So this will also be irrational. So this is what we have. Now these questions can be asked in MCQ type, where you are asked to choose a rational number out of the given option, or you are told to choose irrational number out of the given options. So next we have simplify each of the following expression. This is what's important. You're going to operate on the expressions which contain rational and irrational values. Question number 3 and question number 4, I think, have been deleted from your syllabus. And after this, we are just left with these two questions, question number 2 and question number 5. So we are just going to do these in the notebooks one by one. And for these, I would like you to remember the identities that you used last year, where you learned about multiplication of algebraic expressions. आपने last year किया है, you have learned how to operate on algebraic expressions, performing addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So this here actually is multiplication of expressions, which will be dealt with the same way, the way you used to multiply algebraic expressions. So I'll just start with the first part. We have exercise 1.5. It's on page number 24. Question number 1, if you want, you can just do in book, or you can do in your notebook if you want. So question number 2 is the one we are starting with. We have 3 plus root 3 into 2 plus root 2. If your expressions match, then there is a chance that you will apply an identity. If your expressions match, first expression and the second expression were same, that would mean it's repeated multiplication, which would be a square. Right now, none of the terms match. So what we're going to do is we are going to use distributive property to carry out the multiplication. I hope you remember. So we start with one of the expressions. Right now we are dealing with two binomials here. So we will be fixing one binomial. So I'm going to pick 3. I'm going to use this with complete binomial, the second one, and then I'm going to multiply root 3 with the binomial. So this will provide me with somewhat this expression. Some of you like to skip this step and just write down the products, so you can do that way also. So the first term multiplied with this bracket, then second term multiplied with the bracket. After this, you again use distributive property the second time to operate on this monomial multiplied with binomial. So we will have 3 multiplied by 2, the first product, then 3 multiplied by root 2, the second product. From the second product, root 3 multiplied with 2, then we have root 3 multiplied with root 2. Again, you can skip this step, you can write down the answer directly if you want. Anyone who wants to ask anything as such, कि हमने ये expression expand कैसे किया है? This is only expansion of multiplication. Anyone? All right. So now we are left with just simplification part. 3 into 2 will be 6. Now 3 root 2.
3 root.
This will be written as 3 root 2. For your convenience, I would like you to just give you kind of a clue how to deal with the products where you have irrationals. Consider your irrationals as variables. So if you have 3 into under root 2, so consider this to be x. So if you had to multiply 3 with x, you would have written 3x. You cannot operate on these. Same way, we don't have x right now. What we have is we have root 2 here. So the multiplication sign is omitted from the 2. And same way over here, this will be dealt the way you used to multiply values with the same exponent. So root 3 multiplied with root 2 means x and y, they have the same exponent. So what can be done is we will put these two together under the same exponent. This is how you will write down. So over here, while we are simplifying, this gives you 2 under root 3. Remember, the rational value will be written first, just like a constant is written first when it's multiplied with a variable. Variable part baad mein likha jata. You don't write x3. That is incorrect. So you have to write down 3 first and then the irrational part. Over here 2 will be written first, root 3 afterwards. And this 2 root 3 is different from this. These two are unequal. This is 2 multiplied with square root of 3 and this is just square root of 3. And the last value that we have is over here 3 under the root multiplied with 2 under the root. This will provide you with
root 6
under the root 6. So as such over here, we would like to simplify if it's possible, looking at like terms. Are there any like terms? Like terms means which contain the same variable?
No.
No, there are no like terms.
No.
So this is your answer. Consider your irrational values as variables. Try to operate the way you would do if you were dealing with variables. And then finally, after you have done the multiplication, try to look for like terms. Like terms, now this is a different variable. This over here, root 3 is a different variable. Root 6 is a different variable. So x, y, z, these cannot be combined. And this over here is a constant which does not contain a variable. So we cannot simplify it any further. This is your answer. If anyone has any questions with regard to this part. All right. If anyone's writing, do I need to wait?
No, ma'am.
All right. Let's take a look at the second part of the question. We have 3 plus square root of 3. And with this, we have 3 minus square root of 3. This is the second part that we have. Now, if you observe here,
A square minus b square.
Yeah, this over here, the first term is same. We are having two binomials. The first term matches and the second term matches, but the operation between the two is same. Same values first being added, same values are being subtracted. So if we represent 3 as A and root 3 as B, what you see is you've got sum of these two and then you've got difference of these two. So this is an identity that you have, and this can actually be simplified by writing down a square minus b square. I hope you remember. Sum of the same values, difference of the same values without changing the order. The first term matches, second term matches in both the brackets, but the sign between them has changed. And this will be written as the difference of the squares of the two values. So the answer will be square of the first term minus square of the second term. So 3 squared is 9.
9.
Root 3 squared. Root 3 squared, these get cancelled. So you're left with 3. This is 6.
6.
Then we have the third part, which is root 5 plus root 2 whole raised to the power 2. Now this directly is an identity. This is an identity where you have to write down the square of a binomial. I am deliberately, yes, there is a reason I'm deliberately using the word binomial here, because when we move on to chapter number 2, you will be going to deal with trinomials and cubic expressions. So I am right now focusing on binomial squared. So when you square a binomial, This is square of the first
A
term
square
plus
plus B square
square
plus
of the
2AB.
second term twice the product of the two terms. This is generally how I would be mentioning. You can go with a square, b square, 2ab. Just to focus on what I have to write down. I want to write down the square of the first term plus square of the second term plus 2 times is double product of the two terms. So that's what I'm going to use here. I just say this in my mind. Square of the first term, that means square of root 5. Then I want square of the second term. I want square of root 2. Then I want to write down the product of these two doubled. So 2 times product of root 5 and root 2. So now it's simplification. Square and root, square root and square, they are complementary operations. They are opposites of each other. So these get cancelled. You're left with 5. Same happens over here. Square and root cancel. Yes. Over here.
Plus 2
Now
root
these
10.
can be, this will be 2 times root 10. Do you have any like terms now?
Yes.
7 plus root 10.
Yes,
Yes.
these two are like terms, the constants I would say here. Although all of
7
these
plus
are
2 root 10.
7 plus 2 root 10. Now, the thing which happens, sometimes the students add these two. These cannot be added. Think of it like 7 plus 2x. This will stay as such. So root 10 is an irrational. I've written that as a variable. So this cannot be simplified. Don't write down 9 root 10. इनको add नहीं कर देना, 9 root 10 नहीं बनाना. This will just stay the way it is right here. All right. I'm just trying to be focusing on the little things the students actually make mistakes about. So the last one is root 5 minus root 2. And in the second bracket, we have save values added. Now this is like second part, sum of the two values, difference of the two values. So this will be your identity.
Minus B square.
B square. So you can just simplify. If you want, now this is not necessary for you to write down the identity every time. You can just give the answer. It's not required here. But if that helps you to simplify, you can give the answer.
5 minus 2, 3.
Like terms, the answer will be 3.
3.
Any questions still here?
No, ma'am.
All right. Now I'll just give you an additional part along with this here. We have 2 plus 1 by under root 2 whole square. Let's simplify this. So this is the identity involving square of binomial.
A square plus B square plus 2ab.
This is a square, then we have b square, then we have 2 multiplied with a multiplied with b. This will be 4 plus square of the numerator, square of the denominator, plus 4 under root 2. Now these two can be combined, 4.5. Taking the LCM, this will be 9 by 2 plus
9 by
4
2
times
plus
root 2. This will be 4 times root 2. 4 by root 2, sorry. Now, what we can do about these questions is these can be simplified further. Once we do last question from this exercise, you will be able to see what I'm talking about. As such, you can leave your answer till here. I would like to come back to this question once we have done the last part where we learn how we can simplify this further, how this type of expression can be simplified further. We can take LCM here, just to give you a clue here. We can take LCM here and then we can simplify if we want.
Ma'am, how can we take the square of 1 by root 2?
1 by root 2, it can be squared like a normal rational number would be squared. So if you have any power of a rational number, although it is not a rational number, consider this to be numerator and denominator. So you will write down the square of 1 in the numerator and you will write down the square of root 2 in the denominator. This is what I have done. Now square of 1 is 1 and in the denominator, you are squaring a square root number. So what will happen? Square will cancel the root and you're left with 1 by. That's how we have obtained this,
Okay, ma'am.
right? And what we can do is we can take the LCM if we want, and the LCM over